Find out.
All right, what's happening, good people? Hey, welcome to the show. Jeff C. Live with Camille here. Another great show that we've got lined up for you, and some extremely important topics that are flying under the radar here. There we go. That's good. I'm just had that window open to make sure that the show is coming in, and it appears that it is. Thank you so much for coming by. It's harder to get the links out because most people are sub to Jeff Censored, and that got hit yesterday. So I'm suspended for a week off that channel. I won't be able to post anything, or I won't be able to host live shows there for the next 3 months. So I have to move to the backups and Supreme Lord Commander and Jeff Censored Encore. Jeff Censored Encore, by the way, was hit yesterday as well. Although I didn't realize it when I put up the video, but it only got a warning. So I'm like, okay, it's not that bad, but so I can still post on Jeff Censored Encore. But again, it's a fraction of the regular sort of audience that gets those notifications because of the much lower sub count sort of thing. So if you can get the word out that we're going live here, we really appreciate it. Share these links on social media. What we're going to discuss today is extremely important because we are what we eat sort of thing, and what they're doing while all this is happening. A lot of things are like, one of the crazy things that we always have to remember this, right? Because they have created this massive storm, right, that has all these elements in it, right? You got this scamdemic, you got the social distancing, you've got the lockdown, and then you've got the horrible George Floyd protests that are ripping apart America, and all the the riots and looting and everything else that's going on, and naturally everybody's focused on those things because they're blowing up and they're taking over neighborhoods and communities and stuff like that. But while you're distracted, all kinds of other things are going on. And one of the things that I showed last week was that the FDA had lifted these restrictions that they had on foods, and it's starting with foods in what do you call them? The those what are those machines called? those those machines that you get your food from, sort of thing. Before I vending machines, that's it. That's stupid. Had a brain fart there. Yeah, so the vending machines, they lifted the restrictions on the foods in the vending machines. So because what they're claiming is that the supply chain has been disrupted, so they're going to be lenient with food manufacturers and allow them to replace key ingredients within foods that they sell and they put into these vending machines with other things, with whatever they can come up with. And this is where we're coming in here. This is just part of it, because what is happening with sustainable development, of course, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, the whole world, transforming our world, is they want to transform all of our foods. And what they're using is this synthetic biology to do so, which is like they are going to, like sugar, for instance. This is what Camille showed in her excellent video last night, which is on her channel. Please stop the ride. Please go and subscribe her channel. The link's in the description, or it should be. And she was showing how they're talking about these corporations, upstart corporations, these synthetic biology corporations are producing sugar replacements, these chemically created sort of biolab concoctions that are going to all of a sudden just pop up in your foods. And we know, with the history of the FDA and Monsanto, I mean, it's basically one beast. At the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration of the United States, and Monsanto, Bayer Monsanto, the world's largest agriculture and pharmaceutical slash agriculture, and all these things come together. This is what Camille is showing, is that it's not just the foods too, but it's also in your skin products. It's also really scary. This is in your baby powder. So I mean, there these concoctions that they're putting in, these key ingredients, and what they're doing is they're basically eliminating a lot of the natural ingredients, like plant stuff that actually comes from plant, because they like to use that plant-based thing, which is nonsense, for their burgers and stuff, because it has nothing to do with plants. But when you're talking about certain skin creams or certain medicines that are out there that would use plant materials to as sort of cures for certain ailments. They're replacing these with synthetic biology. And this is really crazy because it's one of the fastest growing markets, and it's going to start going into all of our foods. It's already happening. It's going into our foods, and it's going into all of our products that we buy. If we go to the pharmacy or something, you're buying, skin cream and stuff like that. So yeah, this is very important for people to realize as we go forward how our entire diet and all of our base products are going to be changed and altered with what they're coming up with. And this is all under the whole, sustainable development. We got to save the rainforest. You got to stop global warming. So therefore, right? So with that being said, I'm going to bring in my good friend here, Camille. Please stop the ride.
Yeah,
Camille, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Hi, everyone. Hi. Thank you.
So, where should we begin with all of this? Do you want to maybe give a little more introduction about what you've been looking into and why you're so concerned about this?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, what's really freaky about it all is that it's already in so much stuff. Seriously, food and medicine nailing it all down so that everything is that seems like the final frontier. They've already got the cleaning products, the plastics, like all these different there's so much I wanted to put in that video yesterday that it would have been an hour. It would have been a really long one if I'd have put it all in. But it's in the links, it's in the sources. You can check out those. But yeah, it's nuts because these companies, they work together. It's common technology that they share, and yeah, they're out to remake everything, and they sell it as clean and sustainable. I mean, if you look at the information on the one baby brand, and that's just the only one I know of, that pipette brand, if you look at that, they're selling that as GMO free, a clean line, pure. They call it pure because it's just that one little
Yeah, yeah.
molecule or just that one little bit that they're after. And that wouldn't be the way it would come in a plant. That wouldn't be. It's so
It's so
crazy.
disingenuous.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that the Environmental Working Group, which I always thought of them, because I don't know, I always just thought of them as, oh, that's I should check out and see what they say about this thing. And then to see that they're on board, whether or not they know, but you would think that they would do their research. You would think that they would look and see how these things are made. And if they don't have a problem with it, and these are the people that people are like, oh, it's verified, it's okay, that's really disturbing.
Yeah, we already know though the track record of these so-called, like whether it's the European, whatever the European Commission for Agriculture and Foods and stuff,
There's another
or it's
video.
the FDA. They just rubber stamp these things. In fact, they go even further because we showed that both with aspartame, in the FDA and the European Commission, both basically ignored all the reports, all the negative reports, like hundreds of negative reports that on aspartame itself and the very detrimental side effects, right?
Well,
Cancer,
and
liver disease.
all
Sorry,
of
go ahead.
the government, all of the governments are completely behind this whole switch, so they've been promoting and funding and everything to push these agendas forward, not just allowing them because they're bad even, but because they've had plans for such a long time. I mean, going back looking at the bioeconomy stuff, where that started for my bioeconomy video,
Yeah.
it's like it is it's they the whole time I thought I was just fighting food.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In the beginning of this I was like, wait, what do you mean they want to brew up milk? That was where it started. And holy smokes, it's everything. They
Yeah.
while they want to do a pro GMO sort of thing now, there's all sorts of products that are coming out that are pro GMO. I mean, maybe they're counting on the millennial consumers and all the younger people to go, oh, it's science, so it's good and it's
Yeah,
pure.
people are dumb. You know, that's the basic problem that we face. They and an early example of misleading, and this is all because they understand the law, right? They understand, the regulations and the law. They have all these lawyers, these corporations, but McDonald's 100% pure beef, right? And it's
Yeah,
like, what?
that's got to be a definable term. There's
Yeah,
got
they're
to
able
be.
to
Yeah.
put that on their burgers, so people say, "Well, it's 100% pure beef," and it's like that's not even remotely true. But because of their legal team and because of the way that they're able to, phrase things, they can say, "Well, technically." So and this is with the plant based, like people are dumb. They go to the shop and they see, oh, 100%, natural or pure.
Well,
They
yeah.
see these words and they're like, oh, and then they often, what they do is they'll put like plant symbolism, like leaves or like green sort
Yeah.
of coloring, and 100% and then biodegradable, all these different things that they'll put into the labels, and then people will, because that's what happens, people just look at this and they go, oh, well, it's good for the environment. I'm gonna do what's good for the environment.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, that one you've probably seen in the grocery store, that Daya cheese and dressings and all that. I don't know if you've ever seen that
No,
brand.
I
Oh,
haven't.
this a big plant-based brand at my co-op. They make really melty cheese and salad dressings and whatnot. And it's owned by a pharmaceutical company.
Good Lord.
You know, who are these people making our food? And then they've got all these quotes. Like, I say that the industrial animal agriculture and regular agriculture is so the wrong way to go. It's totally the wrong way to go. But you know what? I eat meat and I eat dairy. I know, sorry to people that don't like that, but I do. But I source them all responsibly. Is there, like, I go to the farm, I go to the farm and I know the farmer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But is there enough of that to go around? I don't. I think that if we all stopped eating at McDonald's and Burger King and things like that, would that take care of some of the need? I don't know. I know you pay a lot more if you want to get meat from a good source and eggs from a good source, but I mean,
Well, that's it
what
though,
else
eh?
are you
They've
spending your money
created
on?
this. They've created. I mean, look at it now too, because I mean, the economy's at an all-time low.
Oh,
Over 40 million, probably like 50 million now unemployed in the United States. The way it's going, getting worse. So many businesses are teetering or have already collapsed.
I just
And
passed by one in my town on the way here that has all the signs permanently closed in the window now.
wow,
They're popping up
it's
all
just
over. Yep.
horrible. Yeah, so people are stretched, and people are stretched. Most people are stretched all the time. Whereas, like they say, the average person doesn't even have $400, right, to in the bank, sort of thing. They're just living paycheck to paycheck. So the cheap food is just the way they go. And what's cheap? You go to the grocery store. Well, 24 Cokes for $5 or something, right? Like people that are they're buying the bulk items that are pretty much poison for you.
Yeah.
Right, and it's cheap enough for them to be able to get it.
And it's
And
like a drug. The body wants that stuff.
yeah, it
Okay.
does. Yeah,
Yeah.
the this is. I mean, people don't understand this, and I used to do a lot of work into the fast food industry. But the fast food industry actually puts chemicals in the food to make you addicted and
Oh
make you
yeah.
come back. And in fact, it works so powerfully that you don't even realize this. That when you're like, say, you're driving around and you pass like a McDonald's or something, there are actually signals going off in your brain because you've had those chemicals, so your body is craving them. Just seeing the golden arches, for instance, and
Mhm.
is trying to get you to go and get this. This is one of the tricks that they do. So a lot of, there's a lot of controversy, obviously, with the tobacco industry doing these kind of this type of stuff where they get people addicted to their cigarettes. Well, they do the same thing with the foods, folks.
Oh yeah.
And
And
this
if
is
people do care enough to look at their ingredients lists and all that, even that's sheer trickery. I wish I never got to show it, and I wish it was when my computer crashed and I lost all of my files, what, like a month or two ago. But I had this one video that was talking about how they brew up hop oil without hops, but they brew it up with microbes, and that they can put that. They came right out and said how you can add that to your beer and it makes a hoppier flavor for your beer. And that since you may already have hops on the label, you don't even have to say anything about it.
oh yeah, yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
hops in beer, by the way, is
It's
already
for
not good for people.
yeah.
I don't know if you know this, that it's very interesting. I want to get into that one time, maybe in the future, to look into beer, because it was around 1900 or so that they made hops like an essential part of beer, and I fully believe this is dealing with depopulation, because depopulation is nothing new. If any of you think it's new, the elites of this world have been obsessed with depopulation for over 200 years, probably even longer. I mean, they've always wanted to depopulate people. But hops has an estrogen in it, right? It's an estrogen mimicker. And
Hmm.
so people are drinking lots of beer, and this is promoted everywhere, and they're putting in hops into the beer, which is just it's very disturbing. It's very hard to find beer that doesn't have hops in it. I've actually tried to find that. It's almost near impossible these days. So it's become and you go back 150 years ago, most beer didn't have it in it. So just another example of how they've changed our foods. So what do we got here? We got Oprah, Katy Perry, and AG. Ag founder joined Singapore's GIC to take appeal sciences to unicorn status. So unicorn status is when a corporation reaches like a $1 billion sort of thing. Is that what it is?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
And
pretty
these
sure that's
guys
what
were
it is.
founded with a grant from Bill and Melinda Gates.
Yes, there you go. So again, over and over again, Bill Gates is involved in all of these things. It's uncanny that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation pops up. Every one of these different things that we look into, they're involved. All the sustainable development sort of objectives. And this is where the whole transformation, folks, you got to understand, they're transforming our world, which means they want us to eat synthetic foods in the future.
Oh, but
Like,
they say they're 100% natural. Gosh. And they say free from synthetic flavors and free from synthetic fragrances, because that's not what they're doing is considered. It's insane.
yeah, yeah,
It's
exactly.
insane.
So
Because
what
they're
do you want?
using biology,
Yeah,
so it's natural.
it's just
Heavily edited biology, but
those catchphrases, those terms that sound good, right? Like, oh, it's biodegradable, or it's good for the environment,
I
like
just
things like that.
the biodegradable packaging really gets me, because my co-op, they're still pushing it. Even though they put a thing in the newsletter, they still have them out. They put a thing saying, we understand that your produce is getting rotted in these biodegradable bags, because you put your lettuce in. I did this. You put your lettuce in the bag and you put it in the refrigerator, and a day or two later it's turning brown and the bag is changing colors. So it's like,
No.
if they're putting your soda pop or whatever in these things, like, is it slowly breaking down? Like, if that's a biodegradable plastic that's gonna not end up in the ocean, is it
Yeah,
going
well, is it
to?
is it is it getting into your food?
Oh, sure. And then the stuff in your food is made with the same stuff. I mean,
Exactly.
that
What's
one.
going on too? It's like like I like mangoes, for instance, but I can only the only ones that I can buy at the grocer are ones that are like ripe right there. Otherwise, they'll never ripen. Even if I stick them on a paper bag with bananas, the old trick that you do to ripen fruit, and I'm guessing because it's genetically modified sort of thing, but it's like they make the fruits, they genetically modify them and the vegetables so that they can ship them, right? So they can freeze them and ship them, and then just throw them out on your shelves, sort of thing. And then people come and they look good and they're all but they don't properly, like, they don't have a proper sort of ripeness that comes about, sort of thing.
Yeah, and if there
Because
was ever anything wrong with the the plant line there, if they just tinkered with it a little bit to make it better. They use CRISPR and things like that for conservation. They like they want to go out and conserve nature by editing it, because, oh, we only use this one kind of bananas, and they're really susceptible to disease now. Oh, we've got to fix it. There's only so many cheetahs. We've got to fix them because they're inbred now. It's
oh,
it's
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, the solutions, always, it's
oh,
the solutions that are the
handy.
scariest.
Handy, they have those things.
Okay, so what did you want to show in this article
Oh,
here?
well, this was just interesting because I haven't done too deep of a dive in any of these things, but this Ag Funder News, I've mentioned it before on the shows, that
Mhm.
it's a great one to look at often, because they cover all kinds of this science experiment with the farming and the animal production and the internet of farming, all that stuff. But they want to add an extra peel, they're calling a plant derived solution, to coat the produce so that it doesn't break down, so we don't have all that food waste,
Mm.
because we waste so much food. So they want to coat it with an edible, 100% edible. I don't know. That doesn't sound that great to me. That makes me not want to buy my produce at the store. That makes me want to directly buy from farmers, which I know that you can do. Like in citrus season, I get them right from a farm that I mail order it in so that it comes. I got to buy a case of it, but that's the season, and freeze them and eat them. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Buy local if you can
Well,
too.
yeah, I mean,
Hopefully they're not getting these simple coatings. Dip your produce. You can sell it for longer. Ugh.
it's so much of what is happening. This is all like all of it fits under like it's like listening to your videos. It's really astonishing because you're watching stuff that nobody I mean like nobody outside the industry is watching.
Yeah.
Like I bet maybe there's a few channels out there that cover this type of stuff, but for the most part, people this like those videos that you're showing those whether they be conferences that they're having or interviews and stuff like that with these characters, like that guy, that doer guy.
Oh, yeah. Him. Yeah. He's really proud of himself. You should
Yeah,
watch.
the way that he looked
I
when they
know.
were that was
I
so
know.
funny. I'm so
Oh,
glad you showed that.
yeah.
Because they're naming. He worked with Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and and Rockefeller, and he's
Yeah.
like he's looking at the audience and he's kind of bobbing his head like, yeah, I'm a big cheese.
Yeah. For
It's
real. Yeah. He was one of
so
the first investors in Google. I think he's on the board at Google too.
yeah, again, and you think about it, like there's a whole nother world, like these elites, and we don't know a lot of them. Like a lot of them, like we know the Bill Gates and we know the Rockefellers and people like that, right? We don't know a lot of these other characters that are involved in these things because they kind of fly under the radar, right? And they're extremely powerful players in this whole thing. And everything is, well, so much of it is outlined in the Agenda 2030 documents, what they want to do, and it is a complete transformation of every element of our lives, and food is a huge part of it because they want to take control of all agriculture.
Oh yeah.
uh,
I mean, right now you can buy seeds and you can grow stuff outside and you can get eggs and raise chickens and you can do all these things, but they don't want, that's not sustainable, guys, to be able to do that on your own. That's just not sustainable to them. And that's, they've got bigger plans to brew it all up.
yeah,
And yeah, the cellular meats, I should open, let me put that one on here. You talk, let me figure out. Sorry
yeah.
everybody, I'm not that
No,
great
it's
at
no,
screen
no.
share.
I mean, it's so all encompassing what is coming and what is happening. It's all under the radar, so much of it, right? It's starting to really rise up now, though. You're seeing it with the global citizen. You saw the stay at home. It's something I showed. It's up on BitChute if you want to watch that podcast that I did, and it was around Christmas time or so. Or no, it's January. In January, because when the whole thing kicked off, maybe it was February. I can't remember now. I'm getting mixed up. But the whole scamdemic thing was coming forth. You saw, for instance, a Global Citizen had this big festival around the world where he had all these celebrities in their basement, right? Lady Gaga, Paul McCartney, biggest stars in the world, even Stevie Wonder and people like that, and they're all singing from their basement. They're all singing, telling people to do the social distancing and all this. But to understand that this organization, the United Nations, the Agenda 2030, Sustainable Development Goals, this is their master plan for the world.
Yeah,
And that,
transforming our world was no joke.
yeah, it's no joke.
They
Like
were serious.
like every element of our society is in their they have plans for everything. There's
And
no
they've already
plans.
done
Go ahead.
so much. So much of it's already in the
Oh
things that we're
yeah.
eating. Yeah, it's crazy.
Like
but they've got huge ones.
they have ramped it up. Like it's in full swing now, really, and a lot of it's coming forth with this scamdemic because a
Yeah.
lot of the solutions that are coming in are sustainable development.
Isn't that
So much.
handy?
What's that?
Isn't that handy?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly what you were showing, you know? I mean, like the example that we gave before when I started the show there saying that look at the FDA, all of a sudden, you know, oh, we're going to allow these food manufacturers to supplement ingredients that normally they wouldn't be allowed to do because oh, the shortages, right? And so we got to keep the flow going. I mean, if you're eating from a vending machine,
Yeah.
but you know what though, and I don't know if you've seen this, but I've covered it I've covered it enough times where YouTube, for instance, uses its power celebrities, so the butt feed celebrities like Sophia Nygaard, who these are like the number one trending type people on YouTube, and they go to Japan all the time. They go to Korea and places like that. And one of the things they like to do is eat from the vending machines.
Hmm.
So like in Japan, that's a normal thing. Like people get like there's a significant amount of the population that get their food just from vending machines. Now with the automation that's coming in as well, all with the sustainable development. I mean, one of the things that I showed too was the delivery trucks now. So you have these automated delivery trucks for your food. And what they're saying, I mean, it's just insane what's going on. They're saying, so in California, for instance, there's one a food delivery corporation that's doing this now. They're using drones to deliver the food because, you know, you can't have human beings involved. And so the food, while it's being delivered by this drone, it's not a flying drone, but it's like
A little
you know,
robot.
driverless cart or like a little driverless tricycle type machine, right?
Yeah.
That brings you the food. It's zapping it, and it's
Yeah.
yeah, like it's to keep it safe. It's making sure that your food isn't being infected with Kobe on delivery. And
Yeah.
it's so like people now, you're going to order a pizza in the near future. It's going to be made mostly by machines because that's where it's all going. It's going to be delivered by a drone, right? And the drone, while it's delivering the thing, is going to be eradicating anything on it, sort of thing, zapping it with all different sort of chemicals and UV lights and stuff like that, right? So what are you going to get? You know, and it's all happening because of what they've created. So the solutions now, you know, here we go. All of a sudden, you know, and you see how it's convenient. It's just like the contact tracing. Like the contact tracing is all part of their plan. They talked about this way back in the Rockefeller scenarios for the future and how they were going to do all this, right? But now, when you know, you have they make it look like it's organic, where it's like, oh, the Jewish General Hospital in Montreal is teamed up with a couple of entrepreneurs to come up with this amazing, you know, tracing app that could allow people to go back to business and stuff like that. Well, no, they've had that contact tracing whole thing ready to go for a long time. They just need to make it look like, oh my God, there's a panic. Microsoft and Apple now are best friends. They're getting together. We're going to contact trace everybody so we can get you to go back to going shopping. And I don't know if you saw the video I put up last night. Um, but I showed in Toronto. Oh my God! So like, there's this new.
Oh, is it the pod you have to go through?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
you got to go through. They're gonna put these things. Okay, so just to show you, you guys got to see this. It's on Supreme Lord Commander, but they've got these. You're gonna like now to go shopping. You're gonna go through these pods kind of thing that are going to read your temperature. They're going to examine you. They're going to be able to determine whether you have anything, whether you smoke or drink alcohol,
Another
whether
thing
you've got early onset of dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that. And not only that, when when you finally get through and get into the business, whatever your, you know, grocery or whatever, they're going to have the drones being able to detect if you violate the social distancing and stuff like that. It's insane. And it's
yeah,
like
like
they're
3 strikes and you're out. Get out. You're not
yeah.
allowed to shop here anymore. You get too close to people. The pod that they go through with the temperature reading, I wanted to do I wanted to do a little video on this, but I don't know if I'll get to it. But do you remember that Poppy Crumb lady, that the wireless earbuds video that
Yes.
yeah, okay. If you watch her TED Talks and stuff, she talks about how with the thermal imaging, they can, especially when it's coupled with other little sensors like are in there, they can read your mood and all of this. They say they can, so they'll be able to tell, are you frustrated? Are you going to cause trouble in their store? And they can just say fail or whatever. But yeah.
Well, we showed like last year, where in the UK that the government now is going to use AI to examine all the kids' drawings in
Yeah.
elementary school and in preschool and stuff like that to determine, they say this in first, right? To determine whether or not they detect any sort of parental abuse or what do you call it? Child pedophilia or stuff like that, right? But then as they explain the article, as the article, as you get to lower half of the article, it's all about being able to detect whether people have radical behaviors, right, at an early age.
Yeah.
so,
Getting
so
in
they're gonna,
trouble for the system. Yeah.
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 So
Like
and
just like the mirror I did of John Taylor Gatto, wonderful man. But just like in that, he said that that's one way that they control where the power's going, is that they identify those troublemakers so they can bring them into the fold, or maybe eliminate them at this point. I don't know, but just to not let them rise up.
re-educate,
Yeah. Yeah.
zap them, get the brain chip in there.
Get upgraded. Yeah. Yeah, for real.
We took care of Jeff C.
Uh,
Yeah, it's very scary, folks, because they're going to make it so that you cannot opt out. Like the only way that you opt out is you live in the woods, kind of thing, and then they'll come and get you with the drones, kind of thing, right? Like so, like if you want to go to the grocery store, you're going to be scanned, you're going to be monitored, you're going to be detected, and these machines, with the Moore's law sort of thing, they're going to just incrementally or exponentially increase in their abilities to detect different things. So that, like Camille's saying, like detect your mood, for instance, right? Detect your behavior. Detect, like what they said with the Toronto thing, is they'd be able to tell if you've been drinking or you've had marijuana and stuff like that, right? So it's like they're people are going to cheer this on because they've made it so awful for us just to get around, and they make us stand outside and 6 feet apart and wear a mask and all this, that people are going to be like, I can't wait till I just walk through, or stand in a pod for a minute or two. The airplanes, did you see that with the airplanes,
yeah.
with the airports, what they're doing?
Yeah.
It's even worse. it's,
It's all to keep us safe, right? But in
yeah.
where I'm at, they've got us. We're not open here, but there's the health department. The leader of the health department in the county was asked by the Chamber of Commerce the other day how many people are even hospitalized with this, and we have several hospitals. And she hemmed and hawed for a little while, but eventually she said, "If I had to say, I'd have to say under 5." And there's been 3, maybe 4 deaths. They
Yeah.
can't even
Yeah.
confirm the 4th death that they say in the whole
Yeah.
county. But
Well, I mean, there has, if there's somebody's attacked by a shark or something like
yeah,
that, it'll
yeah,
help
yeah.
the stats, right?
Oh, yeah. And the
Um,
hospitals are laying people off. It's crazy. And then
yeah.
today they're like, we're ready. We're ready just in case of another wave.
All right. So you got up here
Yeah.
Wired with their
Wired,
checkerboard.
everybody should think about what anything that's coming out of Wired. Not only do they totally cover really in-depth stuff with their articles, but that video that I did, the is this the future of our species? The lady that is in charge of that Neo Life, the one that began it, she's the co-creator of Wired. Like,
Which lady?
her name is, oh gosh, what is her name?
What was the video she was in?
The future of our species, that one that I did with the like creature with Bill Gates' head on it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't even think of her name at the moment. Metcalf.
Metcalf.
I think it's her
Okay.
last name. But yeah, she's the co-creator of Wired. So that's who
Wow.
these people are. And in this article here, they talk. You remember when we did the video with the plan to save everything?
Yeah.
that channel, that Reinvent or whatever, and I said, "Oh, that other talk on there about the cultured meat, that's who they're talking about in here, is that Liz Specht lady.
Oh my
She's from the
God.
Good Food Institute." And yeah, they, you know what? It's the all the problems we know now. It's from the animals, and they've got, isn't that just amazing? Like they say in here that the Tyson Food CEO is like, gosh, everything's breaking. But they've been investing for years and
Mm,
transitioning for years over to this new protein world.
exactly. And
So
and guess who else pops up in funding these big corporations like Tyson and Cargill as they do their transition?
Beyond Bill,
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
he's
Bill
on
and Melinda Gates
yeah,
again.
Leonardo DiCaprio and all
Yeah.
these big people that they push. The Virgin Airlines guy, what's his name? Uh,
Oh, Richard Branson.
yeah,
Yeah.
him. He's huge in it. Yeah,
Bezos, right?
Bezos.
Yeah.
Yes, they
And
just
and
want
probably that doer guy.
Yeah. Oh, for real, for real. Yeah,
And
it's
so yeah, and you see this every day. New York Times, Wired, all these beast media every day putting out that we got to stop eating meat. It's this solution, because like all how many articles have been put out, Camille? I mean, it'd be hard to. I mean, I guess you could Google it or search it or whatever. But how many articles have come out because of the supposed Kobe outbreaks, COVID-19 outbreaks at the Cargill and Tyson
yeah,
meat plants, that this is the time. Now the only solution is, right? The
yeah,
only solution is, and then they show you the videos and they like to show you inside. Now PETA and Co have been playing a big role in this for so long. Showing the meat processing plants and using that appeal to emotion to get us to stop. I mean, many people that become vegetarian they do it because of the propaganda from organizations, New World Order organizations
and now they're
like
going to
PETA.
continue, if they go along with this, those people are going to continue to reward the same monsters that have been behind all of that,
Of
because
course.
they're the ones doing all of this. They're set to cash in. It's crazy. It, yeah, PETA. They came up in my news feed. I want to say it was Hormel, but I might be wrong. But they just invested in a meat company to try to influence them to go plant based. I don't know. I don't have it available at the moment, but I know they just did, just like a week or two ago.
And again, it's always the solutions, folks, because they create the problems. It's always the solutions that we need to be the most concerned about.
And one of the problems that they say is happening, oh, the restaurants and the schools are closed, so those are, but not all of them, and they are doing takeout, but that they're saying that the supply isn't getting used up so fast, and so that's why they've got to cull the animals. And well, in the meat packing, that does help with the why they have to just kill everything, but why they say that the use isn't there. But that Jose Andres, the World Central Kitchen guy, another video, the Are We Giving Our Heroes, that he's getting the food from the restaurants. And that's another thing that the FDA relaxed. It might have been,
Is he like the celebrity chef guy that they
yeah,
use? Yeah.
yeah. He's super tight with Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's wonderful. And he did an interview on that Recode with that horrible woman. I think he did an interview with her and was saying he is so excited to be replaced by a robot someday.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
all about it. He wants to
Because
go golfing or something.
yeah, there you go. So and you think about food, right? And the preparation of food. It's such a human activity. It's all about culture, right? Like it should be, really. It's one of the reasons why McDonald's failed in Bolivia, because Bolivians, I covered this way back when it happened, right? The McDonald's spent $1 billion they set up 10 restaurants in Bolivia.
I hope Bolivia is so good still today.
Yeah, I hope so too. But they failed. McDonald's pulled out because people there are so into the whole, like for women traditionally, not, more of a traditional sort of lifestyle where they stay at home, they raise the kids and they prepare the food, and the preparation for a dinner takes all day basically, sort of thing. So it's like it's they're very much into the whole culture of producing and cooking and all that. And that's what they are eliminating. I mean, many ways, you know, they give us the 40-hour work week, and you could say, okay, that's better than feudalism and stuff like that, right? But with the people going back and forth, the transit, average person spends an hour or two a day in transit and all that. By the time, and people are not eating well, and not getting enough exercise, not enough sleep. But so like people, when they get home from work, they're exhausted, right? They don't have the time to, or they don't have the energy to make a proper meal, sort of thing. So it's the box meals. You throw it in the oven, the pie, the pizza, whatever, right? And the
And they're
commercials.
still
The
I'm sorry.
commercials today are so disturbing. Like, they are so disturbing. They freak me out. It's like, oh my god, this is not, it's not a Black Mirror. This is real. Like, they have these commercials where it's like the mother is making. It's actually a family, right? You can still, they still exist, but the mother's got to make the meal. So she looks in the freezer. She pulls out the pizza. She sticks the pizza in the oven, but then she's got to call the family, and she calls, but nobody hears or nobody's paying attention. So she she goes to her smartphone and she sends a message
Oh.
that the pizza's ready, and everybody shows up at the table with their devices. They're all attached to their devices, sort of thing. This is one of the many gazillions of commercials that are out
Now,
there.
if she was using a smart oven, she could just have all their devices notified when the pizza is done without her even having to do that. It'd be even more convenient.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like we've eliminated, like, that's a beautiful thing, folks. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
grandma making the apple pie. I mean, like, the whole sort of aspect of family, being together, smelling the whole process, people helping out, other people doing different, making different parts of a meal and stuff like that. That's what makes us human, right? It's such a huge part of what we are, and they're eliminating all that.
now they
And
haven't
they're
pulled it away completely yet because you still have those like blue aprons
oh no, yeah.
and then some local restaurants and then some others that I've seen that aren't where I am, they're offering like the food ready to be cooked, but you can have it fresh at home, but it's from our restaurant already put together
I
sort of.
showed with Blue Apron. Okay, so last year I showed the hideous creature Satanist Shane Dawson, Shane Yaw,
Yeah.
right? And he's with his boyfriend,
Mm.
probably fake boyfriend, right? But they're all actors. And I mean, his boyfriend is like the most emasculated male you'll ever see. I mean, the guy is so girly. It just makes my skin crawl, right? Shane is there putting on lip gloss while or like it's like a combination of lip gloss, but it's got the sparkles in it, sort of thing. So it's not
I
just lip
remember.
gloss. It's like,
Yeah. Oh.
yeah, he's putting that on. He's in his bathrobe, and and his boyfriend is making up the Blue Apron meal. Oh, we got this meal from Blue Apron. It's so great, and it's like it's a paint by numbers
Yeah,
meal.
just enough to make you get one carrot,
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's like literally paint by numbers. Then you do this, and then you put this in here, right? And it's delivered to you.
Yep.
So one of the things that I showed, oh my god, I blew up. I went insane. I just blew my stack. This was maybe 3-4 weeks ago. I was covering the whole scamdemic, and it was CNN, and it was one of these characters, people not allowed to talk about, and he wrote this article saying it's time. It's time for grocery stores to ban shoppers.
Yeah, and isn't Amazon with their Whole Foods, aren't they? It's like a dark store, right? Like I know even my co-op, they've already closed hours, like they've cut everything for people to go there, and you're only like they have old people shopping in the morning and in the evening. They're definitely whittling it
Yeah,
away.
they like in the CNN article, they actually were saying that it's time to end grocery shopping. Just like they're saying, by the way, folks, they're saying masks are here for forever.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Even though they
the
don't do anything to stop viral transmission.
it's insane what's
That's
going on. So they
People
what
love
they
my
want to
paper
do.
bag, by the way.
Yeah,
That's
what they want to do. Okay, so Blue Apron is an example of where it's going. It like they want a delivery system for your food.
and did you
So
ever
they
read
don't.
that book, The Giver? Like, I
No.
had to read it in school long, long, long ago, and I just reread it, and all of the food, like, everybody has a task in their land, their village or whatever, and all of the food is prepared by the food people, and then it's delivered to the homes by the delivery people, and then you put the dishes out for the dishes people, sort of thing. Like, everybody's got a job, but you don't, because you have your own busy life, you can't cook your food. Nobody cooks
Sounds
their
like
food.
the Hunger Games or something.
Yeah. uh,
Yeah. So they are like what they're talking about. New York Times, CNN, all these piece media putting out publications saying that it's time to change the whole nature of food and should grocery stores. So they're talking about. I showed an article. Omsum, I think is the name. It's oh my god. You just like I honestly want to punch the screen when I see it. It's like one of these YouTube channels that is promoted. It's got millions of subs, and it's like the animation for adults where they treat you like you're 3 years old, right? And they have this character Sum, I think is the name of it, and they were saying, they were saying all it was 110% Agenda 21, all of it. It was all like we need to stop doing this. We need to revert. We gotta. What if there were no humans? Right? They were showing what if there's no humans and all the plants and all the animals would be really happy, and then all the buildings would be reclaimed by nature. And they were showing like smokestacks and trees coming out of them, and nuclear power plants and trees all bloop, 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 bloop. And then they're showing all the animals were super happy, and then they were actually saying things like what if all humans lived underground,
oh,
but they were saying, yeah, they were saying basically what if we didn't do grocery shopping anymore, right? If all grocers were closed to shoppers because of the pandemic sort of thing. And this is one of the things that they want to do, folks, is they want to like what they show in the pandemic, or the what do you call it, um, the animated sort of Plandopolis. Have you ever
yeah.
seen those? Yeah,
Yeah,
the
we
Plandopolis.
watched a little bit of one
Yeah, where you go to
around
the World
here.
Food Council to get your rations,
Yeah.
right? And
Uh,
oh boy, it's his birthday, so he gets double rations today. Her boyfriend or her lover or whatever is like half android or something like that. And yeah, they're showing the future, like where like you don't drive cars anymore. You got electric bicycles. It's in all the cities, right? I mean, it's funny watching some of the protests and a lot of the scooters and electric bikes that are being knocked over and thrown around, sort of thing. It's so symbolic of what's going on.
uh,
But yeah, they are. They want to. They're trying now to phase out that type of shopping, and the future will be drones or food depots that you'll go to. That and Blue Apron type style where they're delivering you get a bag that will have your meal in a biodegradable bag that'll have your Frankenfood in it delivered to you by the New World Order sort of thing.
well,
It's
and another thing, I think it might be the one that I put on the screen in the video I did just recently. But the other FDA relaxation was to allow restaurants to sell food that's was not packaged for retail, and so it doesn't
yeah.
have all of the information on that. I just saw on Impossible Foods YouTube, which they pulled it now, and I get so frustrated with myself when I don't download a video that I want to work with before they pull it. But they pulled this long talk. They had two of them on there. They were talking with restaurants that have been part of their team for a while, that they're selling. They call them their 5 pound bricks
Uh
of
huh.
the meat, and
Oh
that
my
they're
god.
selling those direct to the customers. And it's like, label schmabel, you know, that they're, and that Jose Andres said that some of the restaurants are selling toilet paper and things like that, so that it's, yeah, I could see the elimination of the grocery
They're
stores.
just gonna sell you kibble. They're gonna give you here's your dog food,
It'll
right?
taste good though.
Yeah,
They'll
yeah.
they've
They'll
got,
they'll figure
yeah,
that part out,
yeah,
right?
they've got that nailed.
They know
The
that's
microbes,
important.
yeah, they brew
Do you
that
want
stuff
to
right out.
talk about this article here that you got? Then
Oh yeah,
I'm
sorry.
just
Well, I was
gonna
mentioning a couple of things while when I didn't scroll through, but I can.
go right ahead.
You're gonna what? Okay. Hi everybody. Yeah, in this article they're talking about this Liz Specht lady, which again, that I think the channel was Reinvent, and she's very interesting, but she's a big fan of the cultured meat. So brewing brewing up the cellular agriculture. And with that, I have another article to show that when Jeff is back, I'll put that on there. Another article to show, because they
I'm
just
here.
have the, oh, you're there. They just have the meat, and they need to add in things like the fat. so it's yummier. You see this website
Healthy
here, this
fats,
food,
yeah.
yeah, well,
Cubic. Ah, the cube.
and this is cellular created. This is, but it's gonna make things taste better, and it's, omega-3, and that's
Yeah,
good
they
for the
love throwing
brain
that
and the
in. Oh,
heart.
omega-3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but so they'll be able to blend that up with their cellular agriculture to make everything taste better, nutritious, and healthy.
It's all to convincing us that everything is broken and that it all needs to be fixed.
And that this is the only way to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That to remake all of nature, because even though there are farms like that Eat Wild website, you can find people that are actually raising. Now, we know that clones are part of the bloodline of a lot of the animals. There are heritage breeds, and hopefully those haven't been tampered with too much. I wish I could say
Mm.
for sure. I don't know, but at least it's the best you could do, probably. But you can get food right from farmers already, and so it is being done, and it is being done well. And there are people that you can look to, like that Joel Salatin at Polyface Farms. His family, the story goes, when they moved in there, it was like a dust bowl wasteland of a farm, and by using animals and doing it by treating them well and doing things the way that you're supposed to do them, they restored the farm. They just have this Tyson and Cargill and all of these monsters that they've made, what they've defined food, and they have people so used to, like, you go to school and you eat garbage, you
Yeah.
go to the vending machines, yeah, and you eat everything, and you go to a restaurant. I don't eat. I mean, before this all happened, I don't eat at restaurants. There were a couple places where I might, like at the co-op or whatever, I'd get something, but even that, like the cheap, you got to have it be cheap enough so that they can make money, cause I guess is the reason. I think there's only one restaurant in my town, hopefully maybe they reopen, that even tries to do local, and not just get it off of the the big truck, coming in from the
Well,
distributor.
that's it. I mean, it's especially now
Yeah,
with everything that's happened. Look at they killed the restaurant industry, more or less. The mom
yeah,
and pop restaurant industry. I mean, the only places that could survive what's happening are the ones that can do delivery kind of
yeah,
thing. And then they still, I mean, well, okay, you're doing delivery. That means your waiters and waitresses aren't getting paid, right? Your receptionists, people like that, right? The hostess or whatever. So there's still, like, okay, maybe the chefs are still working to a certain extent, but most chefs, I know a ton of chefs, and most of them are completely out of work here in Rainbow Unicorn Land. And this is the same, like they have, and like a lot of these businesses, what we've seen, like say Montreal, Toronto, for instance, here, that they can't survive. Like the government's giving money to these businesses to try to keep them afloat, but it's not enough. And they're all like, so like this is the perfect storm that they're creating, because it's already the restaurant industry is cutthroat. Like it is already, like in normal times, it is a very difficult industry to stay afloat in. And so you have to cut corners all the time. You have to, where you're getting your unless you've got a strong reputation and you can, like you have a clientele that is wealthy, sort of thing, right? So if you've got like a Michelin rated sort of restaurant, right, that
I think Jose Andres fits in that.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Like the Gordon Ramsays and that guy, right? The types of characters. Most of these restaurants, and even those restaurants, are struggling because they're not able to stay open. But yeah, most of these restaurants, they're beholden to the price of what they can get, and so they're going to try to get from the cheaper sources, sort of thing. And so they're going to start just getting this. I mean, if they're not already, of course they are to a certain extent, using the New World Order type food sources to be able to subsist through so like coming out of this scamdemic, if we ever do, over the next few years, You're going to have a lot of restaurants that are going to be in really bad situation where they're going to be struggling just to survive. And you see also, I mean, I don't know how on earth they're going to do it, because look at what they've done with the restaurant industry. The restaurants that get to reopen, you still have to keep the social distancing. And the cities, the municipalities are enforcing this, which they really have no jurisdiction to do so. Almost everything that's being done is so utterly unconstitutional and
Oh
egregious
yeah.
against our rights. But yet, these restaurants that are being allowed to reopen still have to do this. So they have to prove to the municipalities that they have set up the proper distancing, and then they'll have maybe the fire department or people come and check to make sure the tables are far enough apart and that they've got like plexiglass and stuff like that. It's insanity what's going on. And how on earth can these places survive? And I don't see how they can.
It seems to me that like small town America could be the ones to really put it to them, because the if the like tiny main streets, if they all talked to the town, and all to the people and said, all right, we're going to open and come on out and support us, and have the local authorities behind them, and the damn their county health departments. But near where I am, someone did open, and it was not, they weren't wearing masks, they weren't social distance, they weren't doing any of it, and they were getting $10,000 a day was the fine that they were being told, and their employees were being threatened. But the city came out, and the police, they said, we're not going to bother you.
Good.
But then they had to close. They had to
Oh
close.
no.
Yeah, because their waitresses were threatened out on the streets by
And
who knows
imagine the
who.
stress, like
Oh
the
yeah,
stress for the owners.
yeah,
It's like another thing that they're trying to do. Like they were protesting here in Montreal to suspend all rent payments. And it's like, okay, I understand that people aren't getting paid and they can't pay their rent, but wait a second, what are the landlords going to do, right?
yeah.
I
Those
mean, they're not
people that
getting their
have,
income.
it's just a person that owns that house, not like the big agencies or anything that rent. Yeah, no, I know
Yeah,
someone that's really
yeah.
having a hard time because you're not allowed to evict. But then also the utility companies, they're, oh, it's okay, we won't shut you off. But guess what? July 1st, you got to pay up.
Yeah,
And
you got
that's,
to
yeah,
pay. I mean, and of course, the utility companies aren't really being affected by and large by this.
oh,
In fact, they're
no,
allowed their essential business. And then you see with the whole, so much of what has happened, you got McDonald's and Burger King and all these hideous corporations that are doing fine, despite the whole thing, because these places are allowed to stay open, just like Walmart and Co. are allowed to stay open, but all the mom and pop shops, all the like, it doesn't make any sense, right? It's like people saying, "How is it that Walmart's allowed to stay open, but this mom and pop hardware shop's not allowed to?" And it
yeah,
doesn't make any sense, right?
nope,
Because you could apply, like, even if you did apply the ludicrous social distancing, those little mom and pop places could easily do that, right? Probably easier, right? Just
yeah.
you have one door going in and out, sort of thing, and you just and this is what they're doing here. Like if I go to the bakery or something, they're saying no more than 3 people allowed in at a time, or something like that,
It's
right?
just so crazy. There's always been viruses, and unless they kill them all off, there's always going to be viruses. Like we were evolved through these things, and there's some of them are bad, but to shut everything down and change it is so crazy.
It's all,
Ugh.
yeah, and it's all done for this NWO. It's nothing about, they're resetting everything. This is the Great Reset. This is the
Yeah.
Black Swan event. This is, I mean, and everything's being stacked on top of it. So we're having, you could say maybe the race riots in the United States are the second wave of the operation, sort of thing, and then maybe
There,
the
we couldn't get you to stay in your home because of the virus. Well, now it's
and yeah, the hilarity of seeing all these SJWs who all of a sudden throw the whole social distancing thing out the window and are completely 110%, not applying, where these same people months, just a month ago or a few weeks ago were screaming bloody murder at anyone that got within 6 feet of them, and now they're all crammed together and they're all sweating on each other, and
well,
it's just,
maybe it's like they wanted to incrementally test their AI facial recognition systems. They had to keep you
yeah,
separated and just have your mask on, only do the eyes, which they say that retinal scan is from many feet away that they can tell who you
Oh
are.
yeah, yeah, and
And then now they crowd everybody together. Oh, good, we can still see them. I think the one company, I think it's
it's
Quanergy. Oh gosh, I don't have that available either. But they were showing how they can track thousands of bodies coming out of events,
yeah,
and that was last year.
the so it's not even like a retina scan that, as far as I know, that they're using. It's more like the facial recognition. Not that they're not using that, but what they're saying is that the facial recognition software and cameras, they use the space between your eyes, like
Oh
that.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, they can determine who you are just from having your eyes, basically, and your
Yeah, they
eyebrows,
also
sort of
like
thing.
bone density and like your
Yeah.
voice, all these different ways.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They got it nailed. They'll know exactly
It's,
who you are,
it's
and all
all
these people,
happening.
all the people smashing things and doing
And
things
then
they
they can
shouldn't do.
say now that they'll say, because they did it already with the Lake of the Ozarks there, where they're saying, oh, another outbreak because of the Lake of the where the all the where was it,
The pool party with the
yeah, the
tables.
big pool party. Right, and now they're saying, oh, because of that. But I mean, that pales in comparison to the massive riots across the nation,
Oh yeah,
in which nobody's even remotely social distancing, people that are crammed together in the tens of thousands on a daily basis,
and how
and
they
not only
got that
that,
app load, or not the app, but the ability. Not that they didn't have the ability to track us before that, but they put it on there so we all know that it's on your phone, and then everybody's out filming these riots and
yes, and
taking their
now
phones, ting ting ting. Everybody's gonna get the
yeah, and
notification.
now they're using contact tracing
Yep.
to find all the looters. And they're saying all the things that they were going to do with the contact tracing for finding the Kobe, now they're doing it to find the people that are involved. Well,
Golly, it's almost like it was all planned.
yeah, it's so evil.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so evil. It's so evil. I mean, last night I was saying this. I was saying, "Stop the riot,"
I
literally
think I
saying,
heard you.
yeah, I was like, stop the, because I was doing the Toronto thing there, and I was like,
Oh,
this is no way. I'm going. No, no, I'm done with airports. I'm done. I'm just done. I'm gonna go live in the woods. I mean, I gotta find a nice cave. Get the hell out of town. I mean, it's insane what they're doing. They're gonna make us all live in this horrible, horrible, no private. I mean, the 5G, which can look through your walls and everything else. You're gonna have
yeah.
body scanners and drones and I
And the
mean,
space aspect, that, oh gosh, I have hours of the United Nations Space Agency talking about how their space coverage is going to just be so helpful with this pandemic and future pandemics, and tracking the food situation, and where we know where people are congregating, we know where they were congregating and where they're at now, and yeah,
did you see
who's
the Elon Musk satellite systems that,
the Starlink, the
yeah, that's
there's
just,
so many constellations. I mean, space this year is supposedly huge for space, and those little, they're like CubeSats. They're little things. They can pack them in those, and who even knows where all they're launching? Because that's part of the democratizing everything for everyone. Is they have made it so India, every country in Africa, all of these little nations, they all get to have their own space program now, and they all can like launch these constellations just to help their area, and to help track this and that and give communications. But they democratized it. They shared the technology, and it's everywhere. So we don't even know what all's going up there, just where
yeah.
we're
And
at
then
these days.
and what we were showing too is with the Agenda 2030 documents, and that they were going to use these sophisticated satellite systems to monitor crops around the
Yeah.
world,
Yeah, and then they
like
call
be
it the
able to.
human landscape. It's
It's so crazy. So you got Nestle here. Nestle enters Asian plant-based protein market with 103 million China investment.
Yeah, so while they are definitely sharing the technology, so the knockoffs and the other countries can all have their own lines, but
Hmm.
the big food, the multi-nation people, they are they're going big into China. This Nestle's not the only one. I know Impossible's big over there, and that once it's that's such a big market, it will not make sense for them to have the other market for here. It wouldn't make sense. Well, now with the pandemic or pandemic and all of the shutdowns of the food system here, I mean, why they wouldn't be able to continue
Yeah.
to do it? But yeah, it's just crazy. Whoa,
Well, I did that. I was
how do you
trying to
do
see.
that? I'm
I was
sorry, I can
trying.
make
I
it
wanted
bigger.
to like see
Let
if I
me.
could see it a little bit more
Did that make
reading
it big?
into it. No, 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 make it bigger because
Oh,
it just then this yeah, that's perfect the way you had it there. Yeah, that's great. I can see it. I just made my window bigger here.
okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's all these corporations too. They spend so much money, like brand loyalty, these marketing strategies that they use, just like we were saying with plant based, right, and biodegradable, and 100%. It's like free range chickens, right? Like when they show
Yeah. What
it
does that
just cracks
actually
me up.
mean?
Like they
Yeah.
show Burnaby Farms, and it's like free range chickens, and they have like a little cartoon of like chickens, and they're on a little farm, and they look like
Yeah.
they're happy, and it's like
Yeah.
yeah. They probably let them out for like 10 minutes, and
Yeah.
there's like a little area they let them run around. That's their free range thing. But
If you
like so
When
much
we
of
scroll
it,
down here, we get
yeah.
Cargill, Beyond Meat, Starbucks, everybody. Yeah,
Wow.
Omni Pork. Oh, yeah,
Wow. And that's it. Cause like the beast system, we think of the beast system. It's like you often think of the media, and the television and movies and all that. But don't ever forget it's pretty much everything. And it's definitely the foods. And the foods, this is all part of their master plan here.
oh
And
yeah,
you can see that all these this is why it's very bad to be a Starbucks sort of regular or something like that. Like don't
oh
be a
gosh,
regular of any of these places because you are literally feeding the beast, and you're not just feeding the beast, but you're eating the beast.
yep,
Like what they're putting into their products, you should be very concerned about. And really, yes, the solution, we've talked about it a lot because, we're not here just talking about how horrible all this stuff is and what they're doing to all of us, but we often talk about these solutions. And it is the solution of having just small farms, community farms, people growing their own food, having, their own livestock, and just less is more type thing, and living off the land,
yeah.
and
Even
just
if you don't
using
want to raise it yourself, yeah, that to
yeah.
know your farmer and like go there and see it, because what they're counting on is that so many people didn't care before where their food came from. They were content to just do the cheap and easy and the fast because they keep you busy on purpose, sure.
Yes.
And that now they're like, well, nobody cares. So we're going to just switch it over. We don't have to tell you a molecule is a molecule, and you'll be fine with that. And it's totally safe. Like we've been doing it for a little while now, it's not like everybody's so sick,
And they
but
chisel away at any sort of protections that exist.
yeah,
Just like you're saying, like a molecule is a molecule. Like people
yeah,
look at the ingredients, right? Now, listen to this, folks. Like the ingredients, that's not even true what they're showing. They have the loopholes now from
yeah,
the FDA and co that they can, they can say whatever they want basically. So you're looking at the ingredients and you say, okay, that's good. It doesn't have this and it doesn't. Well, what do you know? You don't really know because they're already supplementing a lot of those stock based ingredients, sugar, soy, things like that
yeah.
are
And then
already being made synthetically.
they're
Go
adding
ahead.
in this stuff where, just like with the beer thing, oh, if you already have hops in there, you don't have to say anything about this brewed up hop oil. And just like they said, one of the guys, either the Jay Keesley or the John Mello, the Amorous people that I showed in the video
Yeah.
I just did, just like he's saying there, that they are replacing animal products, but they're really into replacing plant products too, and blending it sometimes with plants. Like they want to expand, make everything just cheaper and easier for the big agri giants and everybody to be able to produce this stuff. So that, because gosh, plants are so hard to grow, just
Well,
they're
don't you
liars.
Don't you find it interesting too? Because like when I was watching that guy speak, and he's, it's all like a lot of it was about sugar, right, and replacing
Yeah.
sugar, and how, like, isn't it funny? Like no doubt that they have worked hard to make sugar a big boogeyman, right? First, they put it into all our foods, make our foods like ultra sweet. They get people addicted to things like soft drinks and
Hmm.
McDonald's and whatnot, right? Ultra sweet and salty sort of diets that they have, and they know because like that. What do they call it? There's like a tipping point when it comes to sweet and salty. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's actually
I
a
don't know
term
what
for
it's
it.
called though. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a sweet and salty tipping point that these big agriculture or these big food producers know. So Nestle would be a good example, right? So they know that there's a point where it's too salty or it's too sweet. So they go right to that level, right? Where humans they push it right to the max. I've done this for you can see the results.
Yeah.
35% of Americans are obese. I say Americans, I mean Canadians too. I mean, it's the
Well,
same
North
here
America.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, right? It's a third of the population is obese. Not overweight, obese.
Yeah.
Not overweight, obese. Obesity is a morbid sort of condition. It's there's serious, you could die, right? I mean, it's a serious condition. So then what becomes the solution? And this has been over the past 20, 30 years where NutraSweet and aspartame and sorbitol and xylitol and all these sugar supplements have come in and saying, well, you can still have your cake and eat it too, where it's like you're convincing the obese person that no, it's okay to continue to eat the way that you do, just we're going to supplement these ingredients so that you won't get the calories sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
But this is all a lie. It's all a manipulation. And it's never the solution, period. Right? It's like, no, it's okay to have sugar. It's okay if it's like sugar cane or honey or maple syrup or something like a natural sweetener. But you want to have a balance in your life, right?
And look
That,
how they're selling these brewed up sugars or sugar replacements. They're saying they're taking sugar cane. You know, they say
yeah.
it's made with sugar cane. No, they fed
No,
that
it's
to
like
the microbes.
synthetic.
They fed the sugar to the microbes and that fed them. And so it's like sugar, sugar, sugar. It's not good to eat only sugar. All the stuff that's making the stuff that we're going to eat and that we're going to slather up, they're eating sugar or they're eating garbage. And it is funny that Bill Gates owns one of the largest garbage companies in North America, that Republic Services, because
Oh, he does?
yeah, he's like the majority shareholder
Wow.
for public services. Yeah,
My
and
word.
yeah, it's and then CO2. They want to feed them CO2 so they can hook it up to like the smokestacks and get all kinds of
Yeah,
microbe
it's like,
food.
and again, like all the solutions, like, look, never is the solution like Diet Coke, right?
No,
Or NutraSweet or anything like that. Those aren't the solutions. The solutions is eating balanced meals, exercising, getting natural sugars, fructose from your, strawberries and berries and apples and banana, whatever else, as long as they're not horribly genetically mutated, sort of thing. But their solution is no, no, no. You're gonna get the same Twinkies,
yeah,
except now we've extracted this and we put this in, and now you can eat more of them, sort of thing, right?
less
And
calories.
yeah, they'll say calories, right?
Yeah,
Just like, they say a molecule is a molecule, a calorie is a calorie, which isn't true either, right?
yeah,
And then they'll throw that out saying, "Oh, it's only got," and then people instead of like, because then people look like they teach people, okay, look at the labels, and then they they do this sort of thing with the restaurants, and now they've lifted this, by the way. Okay, so I don't know if you heard this as well. McDonald's and Burger Thing and all these different carcinogen corporations, they don't have to list their ingredients, or they don't have to change their ingredients list, even though they're supplementing their products.
is that
So
great?
like when you go in there and they do have, if you can see it, I think they're supposed to have what the calories are in their products, right? and the ingredients that are in them, but now they don't have to change them. This is another thing with the FDA's brought in with the scamdemic sort of thing. So they're already horrible and they're already completely disingenuous as it is, just like 100% pure beef is completely disingenuous, right? It's not at all what you're eating. They just won a lawsuit in which they got the ability to use that phrase, so they stamp it on everything and then people buy it and think it's awesome. It's just like plant-based, right? Plant-based burgers, they're not from plants, folks.
No, it's just based on plants. They're like,
You
we
know?
like what that does. Oh, we might blend it in with a little
Yeah,
bit.
well, look at Cargyle. They've got a plant, right? Like a leaf,
Yeah.
right? As their, I mean, and how long have they had that sort of? Have they changed that over the past decade or so? Do you
Oh,
know? I
I don't
wonder,
even
eh?
know. I don't even
But yeah,
know.
Cargyle is the one. If you look back, you go back to like 2010, 2008. You know, like those videos you'd see on YouTube in the early days, where people would be filming inside these chicken plants and these pig plants, and it's just deplorable situations, like horrible, like thousands. You have all these chickens that are stuck in cages for life, and all these pigs that are just crammed together, sort of thing.
Yeah, they
And
made the problem.
yeah, they made the problem, and then it's like they were part of the whole thing. Okay, we'll bring in PETA. PETA will expose you. Then, we'll turn a certain percentage of the population into vegetarian. Then, we'll be able to start transitioning the food, and we'll program the masses into thinking, you know what, eating animals is bad. The New York Times has been on a full on, like, again, all of the beast media is constantly putting out these articles like it's time to stop eating meat. I don't know how many articles New York Times has put out over the past 3 months just on that um, topic alone. And then there's like cockroach milk and things like that. Like they want to switch all of our regular products over, bug bars, right?
And they
Insect.
grow the insect cells. Remember, they're not even necessarily raising those crickets for your chirp chips. It's just the cells, the cellular
Yes,
agriculture, just like with
yes.
cows, just like they want to do like fish beef and all of the fancy things. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
There will
they've
be prehistoric bugs that are better for our health, and they could brew those up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, eating bugs is it's usually if it's part of your culture, if you're like African or something, and some places in Africa that's a big thing. It's a delicacy. You eat those giant beetles and stuff like that. Whatever. But that's their sort of regular meal.
Yeah.
What they, it's not part of European diet to eat insects at all. It's never really. I mean, maybe we use, like carnauba wax and stuff like that on candies and cakes and stuff like that, right, to make them shiny and stuff. But no, humans, Europeans don't typically ever eat bugs, but they're trying to bring that in and make it normalized, make it all part of. And again, it's not even if it was just the bugs alone, you'd be like, okay, well, at least I'm eating bugs, but you're not. It's just what they've done, right? Like what you're saying. So,
And
anyways,
now
what do
they
you?
want. I'm sorry. I'm trying to scroll it out of the way. All these flashing ads are so
Oh yeah, yeah.
obnoxious.
The ads are
Yeah.
great though. They
Ugh.
tell a lot though, because they're
Oh,
gonna
good.
put the ads up there that are gonna deal with the type of transitioning that they're trying to do.
Well, what this is talking about here is just because they've cared so much for our health. Obviously, Cargill, they love us so much, and now they're entering into a microbiome agreement. Because they say that healthy animals and healthy people and a healthy planet are all interconnected. And remember that Microsoft wanted to they wanted to break down what our microbiome is, like everything that's been such a study, the omics to what makes us tick and how everything works.
Yeah.
They want to computerize, digitize it all, and be able to make their stuff because the nutraceuticals and things like that. They've got plans for a healthier future of food. I'm
Oh,
doing
it's
air
just
quotes
nuts.
here. I don't believe that, obviously. I mean, to think that they want to put everything that we're eating and the pharmaceuticals that people take and all of this, and they want to put it under the control of like whatever the AI, whatever, which that's
Oh, yeah.
they want to put the computers in charge of the formula. How do you ever know what you're eating? How do you ever know what that's actually made to cause, what chemical cascade that's made to cause in your body, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And again, we're gonna put our trust in AI.
Yeah, for real.
What if AI is gonna say, you know what? I
We
don't
don't
like
like
these
this
humans.
one.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
it'll just mess up their food supply.
yeah.
I do think they're using AI massively in all of these endeavors,
Yeah.
including the scamdemic. I think that they're able to react. I think this is one of the obstacles that we face is that they're constantly feeding the AI the latest information. I mean, they're
Oh yeah,
probably
we're feeding the AI.
yeah, we
You
are.
know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Google is a huge part of it, right? Right now, just partaking in these things, the
Well,
AI is listening to all these and
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and we know that they can take just speech, not saying necessarily this conversation, because if anything, they may be like, oh shit. But like normal people and being furious at their governors, you know, and furious, they can take and turn speech into text pretty accurately now. Like we saw a while ago that they're making podcasts now. You can do like a searchable transcripts of podcasts that weren't
Yeah.
necessarily typed out. Yeah, so they know they can feed, that's all likely being fed into the machine to be able to see where we're
Yeah,
at,
and
what if
it's
we push this button, what's going to happen. I know that and it's just, I don't know, they were
they even
throwing.
got software now that can identify you just from your voice. Like
Oh
they can
sure.
it's
Yeah.
just insane.
Well, they have that employees can sign in. I see this on This Week in Google, that employees can sign in and accept for their password is they have to answer the phone and like say hello or
Oh
something
yeah.
along those
You know,
lines, so they
and
know it's
again,
them.
if you remember duplex,
Yeah.
you know, okay, so duplex, and I covered this a couple years ago, which was the whole BetterHelp scandal. Do you remember with BetterHelp? And they
Oh
used the
yeah.
same symbol, right, with the hand, the plants and the hands. Have you seen that symbol of BetterHelp?
I can't think of what theirs looks like.
Yeah, just put in a quick search, put BetterHelp, and or they'll leave that page open, maybe.
Oh, sorry. I can
Yeah,
go right
yeah,
back.
open another one there. Yeah, and just look at the yeah. See, look at the over on the right there. Look at the
Oh
symbol.
yeah.
It's the plants
His
with the
hand.
hands.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, and they were bragging about having 33,000. I mean, it's insanity, right? 33,000 experts to online to deal with your mental illness.
Oh.
And my I strongly believe that they're using AI like that. This is what it is. It's actually AI that's taking these calls,
Oh
and
sure.
that they're yeah,
Yeah.
because it doesn't make sense. I mean, come on, 33,000? Are you serious? How is that possible? How could you have that many people working? And of
Yeah.
course, the corporation was an upstart from a former Israeli Defense Force member, sort of thing. And
Nothing to see here.
yeah, nothing to see there, and
All right.
that was attached to all the top YouTubers. So they and this is a huge part, the mental health. You'd have to think, you know this, right? I mean, I don't have, you're the last person on earth I have to tell this, but I'll just say this to everybody else that's listening. You are what you eat, right? And
Yeah.
obviously, our food has a huge deal to do with our moods and how we are, and you know how we
Absolutely.
feel. So you
Look at
know
the
if
ad, Jeff. Look at what's the ad.
one of
Look
the
where
world's first non-GMO allulose.
all you lose again. Remember we talked
Oh
about
my
that.
god.
Oh,
Yeah. The
yeah.
ultimate solution for sugar reduction.
All you lose.
Yeah, all you lose. That's it. All
Yeah.
you lose. Oh my god. Yeah, I remember that. Oh my god.
I
They
should
put
have
it
known.
right in your face, folks. All
But it's not
you
GMO.
lose. There's no way that that is accidental. There's no
No.
way that's coincidental. That is full in your face. They're just telling us. They're telling us straight up
I think
that
somebody said that that is like a naturally occurring thing too, but it's like, come on. So it's this
it's like
brand
the
says
Lucifer
that,
race, right?
yeah, yeah,
It's like you know, these names are not accidental, folks.
let's
There's
pick
no
that
way.
one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, come on, right? And this is where it's all going. So they want to put this stuff in everything.
Yep.
Everything. I mean, really, we're at this point, folks, where the only solution is getting off completely off their system, like completely,
Well,
like
and
a 100%.
they've been at all of it for so long. Like, let's see if I
Oh
can
yeah,
get that guy, that Keesley guy that I talk about in the last video. You know, this is 2004. Is this article here from Berkeley News where Bill and Melinda, of course, you know, gave the money to get them started. And these are the people. This is what led to Amorous, which is just that one company, you know, that is making all of these things that are already have been. I mean, that one interview on the small cap small cap news, I laughed when I saw that. But that small cap news, or whatever they were saying, from 2017 or 2016, that they were already touching hundreds of thousands of consumers, and by 2020 they were calling for 1 billion consumers. That they it's I didn't realize, because I don't get into all the beauty care products and all that stuff, but they say that squalane is pretty dang popular. And
think about that.
oh man, I typed it in, the name. I typed in the name, the Neosance, into YouTube, and what was the first thing that came up was a very feminine boy doing making the
Oh
beauty
my
videos,
god.
talking all
Oh
about
my
it. Yeah, they
god.
love it.
Think about this, Jeffree Star. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
Mm-hmm,
Jeffree Star, and again, you're talking about a top 10 YouTuber,
mm-hmm.
right? You're talking about somebody who's worth, they say, 200 million or something. I mean, and it's an absolute degenerate, satanic scumbag from hell. And he dresses up as a girl, and he's the most successful of the YouTube beauty people, right? So the top beauty channels on YouTube are actually all trannies or guys, basically, right? So another one is Hey Sisters, James Charles.
Yeah,
Another one is Nikki Tutorials, who is a transgender, right? And
yeah.
they release their cosmetics. So have you seen the last couple of cosmetic things that Jeffree Star has released?
No.
Oh
Do you want me to look?
my god. Oh my god. Jeffree Star. So the first one was called it was called Bloodlust, or no, was it so if you hang on a second here.
Do you
I'll
want
bring it up.
Do you want me to go to his channel?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Jeffree Star. So yeah, they had the Saturn cube. So they have the hexagon symbolism for the whole thing. It's a palette, right? So there's the Bloodlust palette, and the latest one is the cremation palette.
Why my new palette is
So
Kansas.
just put palettes. Yeah, if you just look up Jeffree Star and you put palettes, you'll see the different palettes that he's been coming up with here. And you see the purple Bloodlust. So Bloodlust was their. So yeah, you just put palette and then maybe put it in images there, and you'll see
Do
the
I
different.
have to? Oh,
Yeah. So you see, if you scroll down a bit, you see Shane Dawson there with them, right? They're getting the guys. So he has, yeah, there with the purple. He has the Bloodlust palette. So this is just prior to the whole. It kind of kicked off the whole scam. So it was all coming out at the same time. And then the latest one he has is his latest palette is even worse. It's the black and white one there. I'll just look it up. I think it's
huh?
called Cremation.
Yeah.
I'll
Cremated.
just put that in. Cremated, yeah. And you look at the actual Jeffree Star. What is it? Cremated palette. It's called the Cremated palette. Okay. And you've got, if you look that up, you got Nikki Tutorials right away. It pops up the first thing reviewing the palettes here. So the cremated, and you look at the here. I'm going to send you this so
Okay.
you can share it. Copy link address here. I'm going to send it to you here in the private chat, and you look at the names on these here. It's a Google thing, so I guess maybe if you click on it, it'll maybe if I open it up here, I can get a shorter link. Oh, it's a tweet here, so I'll send you the link to the tweet. I think you can see the palette names. Yep, you can. Okay, hang on. I'm sending you the link to the tweet here that you can bring
It
up.
looks like that one's sending me to a tweet.
There's the actual tweet. I just sent it to you. and you see the names: Hearse, Angel of Death, Gravedigger, Death Certification, RIP, Pallbearer, Inheritance,
Oh,
Wednesday, Mortuary Beautician, Last Look, Solemnly Swear, The Morgue, Mausoleum Embalmed, Eulogy, Life Insurance, Last Respects, Goodbye, Obituary, Burial Crown. Now did you get it up on the screen
is
there?
that
The
what I'm showing
No,
here?
yeah, click on the image there, the top left corner there. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Click on that one. That one there will bring it up. Now the Bloodlust one
Oh
was the
gosh.
precursor to this. So this is the most popular cosmetic in the world. Like they're
I
selling.
just don't understand.
Well, think about it,
Oh
because
my word.
you bring it in. If they're putting this stuff in the cosmetics,
Yeah.
this is what I'm saying about what's
Yeah.
going on is, okay, so YouTube puts these people number one trending all the time. They're the top people, and all the kids are going, and these people are heroes. So Jeffree Star will do things like for instance on Twitter, you'll see all of a sudden Jeffree Star's trending number one, and Jeffree Star just bought some woman a house or paid for her car or something like that, and he goes to number one on Twitter, and everyone's saying, "Wow, he's the greatest person ever," because people are losing their jobs and all this. This is what they're getting the kids to put on their faces, and you look at the names of the palettes, and it's just horrifying because they're basically saying it's all death.
Oh.
The one before that, which was the Bloodlust, you cannot make this up. The Bloodlust had the corona, had the crown on it. I showed this. The Bloodlust. Okay, I'll send you a picture here to show you that. And I showed this way back when it came out, Bloodlust palette, because it has all the symbolism of corona, basically.
That's terrible. This is just so bad. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
uh,
Okay, so here I'm gonna send it to you here.
I have
Open.
gone on his channel long ago. I was looking at it for a little while, and it's so uh just sad to see them go to Walmarts or whatever, and the little people, the little children, and like, oh, they flip out and they're so excited. I'm like, oh no, oh no,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
cannot
Look at
be
that.
any.
Look, if you can open that image there, I just sent you. Check it out. It's got the crown, and there's blood dripping from the crown. Now the corona is crown. That's what it means.
Nice.
So the hexagon is the symbol of the cube. All right. So this is Saturn, right? This is their symbolism. The purple, of course, being the color of the New World Order, the color of royalty, the color of transition, the color. I mean, it's all their symbols right here, and they released this just prior to the whole scamdemic. So it's all choreographed going through. And now it's all death as they went through the bloodlust, which is all about killing, right? And power and monarchy. And I don't know what the palettes are in that one, but I remember covering it way back when it came out, and it was just horrifying. And now the next one, of course, is the cremated. So the symbolism of death and the New World Order is all over this, and this is why I wonder exactly what's in these palettes, because you're covering this and you're saying so much of what is going on. And in the Batman movies, they often have this theme where it's the cosmetics that drive people crazy.
Oh
Like people,
really?
yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. So what
is that
if?
why the Joker wears so much makeup?
Yes.
Okay, just
Now
check.
think about it. The Joker. What happens in the? Have you seen the movie?
No,
Okay, because the
I've seen clips though. Somebody,
okay, so
yeah,
you go outside, um, get to a major city, and you'll see the end of the Joker.
yeah, that's didn't
So everything
seem
that's
like that
happening
though.
right now with the burning and the looting and the smashing and the destruction, that's all depicted in the Joker. So that they show us everything that's happening. They're taking us into this new world, and they're shoving it in our face, and they're manifesting things that they show us over and over again. Corona, the amount of predictive programming for Corona is off the charts.
Yeah.
I actually have one of my patrons sent me that. I don't know if you saw it, but it was Tangled, the series from Disney, in which in the first episode they're talking about the land of Corona and martial law.
Yeah.
From 2016.
Uh, yeah.
It's just insane what's going on. So I'm really curious because I think that if like okay, so I don't know how you are with makeup, right?
I don't.
Because
Yeah.
okay, good, because like I honestly think most women look a lot better without it, and I think that there's a time and place to put it on, right? Like, a special event and all that. But like what happens with makeup is you put it on your face, it's on for, it could be on for 12 hours or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like a whole day or something like that. So if you convince a large percentage of the population,
Men and women.
men and women, to
Yeah.
constantly put on makeup, like I go to the grocer and the guys are wearing makeup and lipstick and stuff, right? And I just can't even believe it. Like I'm just so horrified. It's like stepping into a Batman movie kind of thing, right? But if you've got all these people that are wearing this stuff on their face and then they're absorbing the particles, because that's what happens. Your skin breathes, right? You can absorb it through your pores.
Yeah. And it's made to stay put, right? To stay in place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're doing this to the youth, and they're making it that you should do this every day. So these characters like James Charles, like Nikki Tutorials, like Jeffree Star, Shane Dawson, they're always putting makeup on every single day. It's all part of their routine. Another one's Trisha Paytas. There's so many of them. They're all wretched. And so this is being normalized with the youth that every time you go out, you put on your makeup. And it's like an elaborate sort of routine that they go through. It's no quick fix. And a lot of the beauty gurus on YouTube, all of them have obviously made the deal, but all of them push this lifestyle. So if we're thinking, just foods alone, and we're thinking, okay, we got to be really concerned because we are what we eat. Well, the cosmetics is a huge part of how they're getting to people, and they're making people ingest their chemicals and their products and whatever else they're putting in, right?
The
The
squalane. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
So and that's the thing, you're wearing it for extensive periods in the day sort of thing. So yeah, it's just another example of
I wonder,
um
is it antimicrobial too? Like, do they kill off all the
well, the
any issues
even
you might encounter?
Jeffree Star promotes that his products are all plant-based and stuff like
No.
that, right? Yeah, of course.
Oh, come on. Come on.
Of course, of
Oh,
course. So
probably
it's
no synthetic colors, right? No.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just evil.
Moisturizing. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, if you go back to the cremated one, I mean, that's the one they just came out with, the cremated one, last month, and it's all about death and burial, and I mean, it's so evil. Look at the pallets. Look at the names of the pallets that are there. R.I.P. Right? I mean, mausoleum.
It in a way makes me think of the other thing that I sent you, the other topic, like it stays put, it's to all about death, and it's out of makes me think of the new kill everything, the 100%.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You got to talk about that.
This stuff is, they're saying it is like it just stays on like a sheen until you wash it off. Oh geez, it's jumping all over the place.
This it's like is it like a one of these hand sanitizer type things?
Well, it's a cleaner to spray on there, like the
It's
ritual
okay.
baths and everything.
Right, right.
Everything's popping up.
Yeah,
But
they're
they
gonna the
because
E200
I
now in
want
your
that. Yeah.
computer.
Oh my word. But yeah, state of the art detection. Oh my wood.
There they go. What are they saying? Don't let your level of Hebrew keep you out of the conversation.
Oh
Come
yeah.
on,
And look,
gotta
your
get it up.
Iron Man. Your
Yeah,
Iron
look at
Man
that. Look at
prosthetics.
that on the
Yeah.
side. Iron Man hand. Oh
Yeah.
my God, prosthetic hands to kids so they don't touch each other.
Ugh.
Oh my
And
God, it's so evil.
another one that's related, or that's on the same topic, that, and I didn't verify, go into all these things, I was just looking at their news on it because this popped up in my news feed, but that it's an anti-anthrax chemical. That's what they're saying.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's what we need.
Censoring. Yeah, they put it
And,
everywhere to kill the corona and
oh my God.
military grade chemicals. So this Terra novel.
Look at the name. Or you can't
Oh,
make it up.
it's just great.
That's just nuts.
So,
Terra novel.
but it
Wow.
kills, they say, 100% of bacteria, molds, fungi, and viruses, such as the coronavirus. But I tell you what,
Did you?
I do not want to encounter whatever survives that. Whatever survives that, it's like the next super bug
Oh
of
my God! On your
horror.
video last night, somebody in the comments pointed it out, and I caught it too. It was Sanjay Gupta, and he said this company is hell bent on a brighter future.
Yeah.
Hell bent on a brighter future, folks.
Yeah.
When they're showing these corporations making these things, and one of the things, the hand sanitizers as well, right? Which has become all the rage.
Yep.
People walking around. I see people walking down the street with them.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's just like they're making now clothing with the hand sanitizer freaking pockets. It's so bad. It's so insane
And it
what they're
came
doing.
out years ago that some of the ingredients in the hand sanitizers are bad for your liver and bad for your heart. And then
Of
they're like, oh,
course.
we're going to, all of the local distilleries and everything, they've transitioned over to making alcohol based sanitizers. Oh, but those dry your skin out. But what is the solution? Is the Pipette baby brand hand sanitizer that's 65% alcohol, I want to say. And the rest was the squalane because it's
Oh my
super
God.
moisturizing, locks it in, slather it on your whole family.
And
And your skin's your biggest organ.
they are, and again, I shown this with Sanjay Gupta, of course, the Muppet.
I thought you'd like him in the video.
Oh gosh. What a shill.
Love this.
But they're like Sanjay Gupta. Have you seen when I showed this? He's this is what he does. He goes, "This is how I go grocery shopping, and this is when I bring my groceries home."
Oh my word. I didn't see his, but early on in this crazy here, a family member that never emails me sent me a video that already had tens of millions of views. And it was this doctor. So they said just sanitizing everything, like, and then
Yeah.
you have the tape down the middle of your counter. And when you get your bread, the bag is not good. So you got to rip that open and dump it in a bowl and take your produce bags and wipe them all down with Lysol. And then and dump your produce in the soapy water in the sink. I wanted somebody to make one of these videos and like pour it in or dump them in Lysol so that they're just soaking straight in it's just
they were, I don't know if you saw this, Grace had shown it on her, or she had tweeted it out, but they were in Alberta, I think. They were spraying down the grocery aisles, like all the food.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the guy that was doing it was in a hazmat suit.
Oh my word.
And Grace was like, well, if he's in a hazmat suit.
Yeah, really.
So yeah, with Sanjay Gupta, I've shown a lot of this where he's like the Muppet that's showing you how to live in this new world order sort of thing. And here's what you do when you bring your groceries home. And he's got his table, and he's got a piece of tape down the center. He goes, on this side you put your groceries, and then you pull out each one, and each item that he pulled out, so it could be like a box of pasta. He'll pull it out, and you'll say, I'll pull it out with this hand, right? And then I'll put it here. And then he takes out with my other hand, I'll take out the Lysol wipe or whatever. And then he wipes the whole thing like all around. He says, make sure you get every inch of it, right? And then you put it on this side of the table. That's okay. That has been cleared now, right? That's ready for meals and stuff. And it's like, all these chemicals, folks, like, I don't know. Do you know about this, about how a lot of the cleaning products they're saying are affecting the children? Like,
I believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. So like what's happening, folks, is like the old days, they would find certain chemicals in these products, and they would have, really awful effects on humans. So they would ban the product and all this, or ban the chemical sort of thing. Yeah. Like, but this is now, it's just like, it's full on assault with chemicals, and people are obsessed with germs. Now, germs, as you said, it's a normal part of everything. I mean, it's all part of our immune system. I'm sure any honest
tiny life all over over us and in us.
Yeah.
All of this sanitize, kill everything off. It makes me think of the Michael Crichton's Andromeda Strain. Chapter 11 is where they go into the disinfection to go do the to the point to clean the humans, to go down into the special chambers to clean the humans just enough that they don't kill them. Because
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
That's I'm gonna have to read that.
yeah. It's a really short book.
Yeah,
Short.
I've seen the movie like way back when the original film. I think they made a
I never
remake
saw the
too.
movie, but I've
There's
read the book.
two. They made a remake of it
I believe it.
recently. But yeah, Michael Crichton, right? He's
So many books.
insider.
I tell you, you know that the God Gene
Yeah.
video, it made me think of, I just reread his Next, which is all about
Did you see
genomics.
Corbett debunk that?
Yeah, I didn't get to watch the whole video, but I think he was debunking
The Bill
Bill
Gates,
Gates
but
aspect of it.
it was
I hadn't
more
heard
than
that.
that though, because he was debunking the whole thing.
Yeah,
and and I'm a little bit questioned about that because no, I think Corbett does a lot of great work, and he's probably done his best work recently on Bill Gates and all that, right? But he was saying that the whole thing is staged, and and I don't know, like I mean, to think that they aren't developing vaccines that would alter chemically alter your brain
well,
and
yeah, and
stuff. Yeah.
what they're talking about in this Next, the Crichton book Next, which is there, it's all about the genome and everything. But they're saying, and this, it is fiction, obviously, but he says in the beginning that he does base things off of real tech. But they're talking in there about gene therapy that would take away like people's irresponsibility, to make you they were calling it the maturity gene, I think, and then it ended up like making
Well,
you die
then
faster. But
just
gene
what
therapy,
we saw before with for instance, we were talking about the British government that would be using AI to examine kids um drawings and stuff like that. Like to think that governments aren't actively, or that the new world order isn't actively trying to chemically alter us,
well,
and
yeah,
pacify us and control us and program us into a hive mind. No, that's definitely happening.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted you there.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, they're saying gene therapy and that, and the
Yeah.
mRNA vaccines and the video that I did on
Yes.
that. I mean, that they're using gene therapy platforms to create these vaccines. We'll call them to alter you, to make you. I mean, George Church in Regenesis, that Ed Regis George Church book, very good. Just get past they could try to get technical on a lot of stuff at the beginning, and if you can just gloss over the parts that are just really way out. There's so much in there. There's so much in that book, but they want to modify us, to recreate us,
Oh
so
yeah.
that, I mean, in one way, so that the germs that can hurt us won't hurt us because we'll be safer. I don't know. I don't know about all that chemical cascade. You change one thing, what's going to happen down the line? Because so much of it is like which switches you flip. I wish there's a video clip. So if people go to my website, pleasestoptheride.com, if you go on there and you look at the source links for the last video that I just did, there, the one that is talking about the One World Health, it's one of the top video or top links on there. It's talking about the One World Health, that YouTube channel. I guess I could pull it up on the screen here.
Yeah.
That YouTube channel is it has all kinds of videos on that Victoria Hale and One World Health, and one of them was really pixelated, and I wanted to use it, but I didn't because I knew it would look terrible on the screen. But one of the parts of it, they're talking to that Jay Kiesling, and he's saying how the how do you make the yeast do these things that you want them to do? And it was, oh, we're flipping this switch and that switch, that it's easy just to just hang on. I'm gonna focus on the computer here, I guess, to do it, but to just make it lots of changes, to tweak it, to make it charge, because they, to make them produce different things. If you just change this is like the precursor to this, is the precursor to this, like they know that it's a cascade.
You
They
think about
know.
it too, right? Like somebody in the chat mentioned sunblock, and you think about the ozone layer,
Yeah,
which I think is a whole load of crap, right? A huge load of crap that, we're all going to get skin cancer, go out in the sun, sort of thing. But it
yeah,
was another thing because you slather this stuff on, and I never ever ever use it, like ever.
Yeah.
But like you see, like the whole culture is like you go to the beach or you go to the pool, you slather on the sunblock so that you can sit out in the sun. Your skin absorbs it all, right? I mean, unless you then like, oh, you go in the water and then you have to, when you come out of the water, you have to apply it again, right? So you're putting copious amounts of this sunblock on you, which is, I mean, you look at the just looking at the ingredients, and this is, we know that just the ingredients is only a little bit of the picture. If just it doesn't give you anywhere near the full picture of what might be in these products, especially now. But like just that sort of programming of the masses to apply this stuff all the time, every time they go out in the sun,
Yeah.
right? And
It's like
and
you need the sun. Wear a
yeah,
hat and long sleeves at the high point of the sun. I mean, or
or
hang
yeah,
out
just take
somewhere
some
else.
shade, or
Yeah.
yeah, we get a good sombrero or something, right? Like something that will allow you to work and keep cool. You see it, like, I mean, if people are able to ride around in the Sahara in the middle of the day, right? There's ways to keep cool in the sun, and it's because of the type of clothing that they wear, right? That allows them to function in the desert in the daytime, sort of thing. Um, but the solution here, of course, is to slather this stuff on your skin. Um, and it's so crazy. There's one I remember, one of the RoboCop movies. I think it was the second one
I'm
where
gonna
they
have
had
to
a.
watch RoboCop
You
because
have to watch the original. The original is
okay,
one of the best movies of all time.
okay,
But the commercials are terrific because they put the commercials. They're very apt now. It's extremely bloody though. Just be forewarned, because it's Verhoeven and he's obsessed with violence, sort of thing. But like one of the commercials of the second one has this woman, and she goes, "Oh, the sun, they say just 60 seconds can give you skin cancer, but now I use, sunblock 5,000." And she's putting this stuff on. It's just like it's all like different colored, and it's just like it's neon colored and stuff. It's so gross.
and the Pipette brand, they are developing an SPF. They were just saying I
Oh,
guess
there you go. Yeah,
on the
exactly.
video that they did. Again, the links in the sources that with the environmental working group guide, they
You
talk
just
about it in there.
you look at how over the decades they've convinced people to do all these things, that
Yeah,
they just become normal. Like you go in the sun, and your children, like, think about it, because it's kids that mothers would be, okay, come over here, put the sunblock on your kid, because you don't want your kid to get, first, you don't want to get your kid to get sunstroke or sunburn, right?
yeah, hmm,
But so you slather this stuff on, and thinking, oh, I gotta trust it, right? It's plant based. It's good for the biodegradable, whatever they put on the cover, sort of thing. 100% pure. All the and so they've convinced a whole generation of people that this is what you do every time you go in the sun,
yeah,
right? And these now we're seeing how accelerated the whole thing is now with the social distancing, right? Now they're saying the masks are going to be here to stay, right? People just going to wear masks, and they made it fashionable, and they were showing this for years in their predictive programming, that mask would be a normal thing, right? A normal thing in the future, or be part of our future, sort of thing. And to think how quickly they've managed to convince people to wear masks
it's
is,
amazing.
it's amazing.
Yeah,
It's so utterly disturbing, first and foremost, but the speed at which they're able to convince people to do this. Not only that, I get horrified because, like, last week I put on the dumb turds, right? And every time I see the dumb turds, I just want to just want to frickin' rage, sort of thing, because they're so awful. But they had chunk yogurt and Anna Gasparin there, and they were talking about. Do you remember the scene at the grocery store where the woman in Long Island went to the grocer and she was shouted out by the
yeah,
whole crowd? You
yeah,
saw that, right?
yep,
That was
yep,
utterly disturbing. Now, from our point of view, and from a conservative point of view, that's horrific and awful. I mean, it is. It purely is. There's no black or white. I mean, it is black and white. There is no gray area on this. A mob of people shouting somebody down because they're not complying is just pure evil, right?
yeah.
It's. I don't care how you slice it. I don't care what's going on, right? What they did was evil. They had the dumb turds reacting to it, and they were basically saying the woman was a complete idiot and she deserved it and she deserved more, sort of thing.
Oh I've
and
heard.
it just shows you that most people are in that lockstep mindset, that most
They've been
people,
so terrorized,
yeah,
you know? It's ugh,
they've been so convinced that people that don't comply are the threat. That
yeah.
if they don't comply, we're going to get more Kobe, sort of thing, right? And I'm telling you, this is leading to violence. It's leading to horrible situations. I mean, that poor woman, screamed at. I mean, it's so evil, because you would think a year before, could you imagine, like in 2019, going to the grocer and having a whole bunch of people shout at you and making you run out and leave?
Yeah.
And then the other one with the guy there with the shopping cart in Costco, and that extremely emasculated manager that comes over and says, "Hi, we're asking you to leave.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
their
he took
policy to
his
wear a
card
mask."
away.
I wanted to. I honestly, if that was me, I would have beaten that guy to a pulp. I would not be able to contain myself. I would have been so outraged. Like, you're trying to take my shopping cart away from me because I'm not complying with the New World Order.
Yeah.
I have to give that guy credit for holding his calm. But I mean, but the way that plays in the media is that in the conservative side and in our realm, everybody says the proper things, that it's stupid, it's retarded, it's insane, that's evil. But most people that see that think that the stock, the Walmart or the Costco employee was correct, and that guy was an idiot and all that. So it's just
Yeah.
that.
I saw it wasn't that video, but it was another one where someone tried to come to a store that and they didn't want to wear a mask, or they didn't want to do something, and the people in the I think it was on Now This, actually, and the chat or
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
comments, they're all calling the person that didn't want to wear the mask Karen,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like they're
Exactly.
taking
Did you
over
know
the
they?
trend.
That's what they hit me for, by the way.
Was the Karen thing?
The Karen thing. Okay, so folks that are listening, Jeff Censored, the main channel was hit with a strike, so I'm kind of locked out. I mean, I can't upload. I can't do anything. I can't message my for a week, right? And so they hit me with a community guideline strike on the video with the gay bird black watcher, the gay bird, the gay, the black gay bird watcher versus
Yeah.
the white Karen in Central Park, and all I didn't do anything. All I'm saying is it's totally scripted, right? Like, the only real victim of the whole thing was the dog itself, but that they actually made that story happen because it's all part of the narrative of what happened with George Floyd. That, and even when I made that video, I hadn't even seen the George Floyd video at that moment, but it came out right at the same time, the
Oh,
very same day. The Jimmy Fallon blackface came out. Very same, at the like within minutes of each other. Really, these things were coming up on, and they were trending. And I didn't even know about the George Floyd thing at the moment. Like, I heard about it, but I hadn't really seen it. But I was like, why are they throwing out all this race bait stuff, right? This seems completely scripted. Here they
and
are again,
then
pushing the divide and conquer, the race.
yeah,
So I went into the whole Birdwatcher thing, and his sister, and he's works for Marvel Comics, and he made the first gay a superhero character, and he worked for his sister works for HBO and all this. So I'm saying, oh, it's totally a script. This is totally set up, sort of thing. And that's the video that YouTube took down. But the Karen sort of it's very dangerous, folks, because the conservatives do this. They're part of the birds of the same feather sort of thing, right? They just play the opposite side, but they get you to automatically label things instantly.
yeah,
Like, there's so many examples of this over the past few years. The memes that they create, the names that they create, Kofifi sort of thing, right? That Trump had said. Other sort of names that they use for characters or just for stereotypes. Like, and the irony of it too, what I was showing with the Birdwatcher was that it was white women, white women, white women. So I was showing all the Beast media, and all the Beast media was saying white women calls out, or white women Karen, right? And then if it was Karen calls out black bird watcher, right? Which is so gay too, like black bird watcher,
yeah.
right? If you know bird, is another word for the male. Yeah, you know, right? I don't have to say that, but you know, he's gay, of course, and so he's just out black bird watching, right? And in Central Park. So when you think about it, you know, they're creating these memes and they're getting everyone to automatically do it, and then they were putting out all these articles and they were saying white woman racist calls police on black man. Now the articles themselves are singling out a white woman. So the articles themselves, if you're going to use racism and you're going to say it doesn't matter what color, we'll just say it applies evenly to everyone, the articles themselves were highly racist towards the white woman. They're actually calling her a Karen over and over again. And of course, she's actually, I don't, do you know what she was connected to? Because she was connected to another Bill Gates organization.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Wow.
she worked for a Wall Street sort of investment corporation. I can't remember the name of it, but it was another big time financial corporation that Bill Gates has ties to as well. So, like, but it just shows you, like, oh, it's so evil what's going on, folks. It is so evil. Last night I put up the video, which I had seen off of Donald Netanyahu's channel, which was the basketball player Steven Jackson. So he played in the NBA. The NBA has a huge part to play in this whole role. Okay, what did he say? They're interviewing him,
Like
and
burn it all down or something.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that?
he's being interviewed by Skip Bayless, right? And he says, "What did you mean about, like, you know, like the riots and the violence and the burning and all that? Like, can you clarify what you're saying about that? Like, do you still think that holds place?" And he says, "Well, you know, as far as Minnesota goes, I don't care if they burn the whole thing down. I'm all on board with that. I was all game with that, right?" And so he basically said he's all on game. He's all on board with them burning down Minnesota, the state of Minnesota. Why? Because it's largely white.
Oh,
And he said this on sports media, whatever beast media outlet, ESPN, you know, Disney. And, you know, the only people batting an eyelash about this are people like us, right? That do this type of work. Like everyone else is just, that's perfectly fine. Imagine if you said that about a black town. Imagine if one celebrity came out and said, I don't care if they burn down all of New Orleans, right?
that wouldn't go well.
No,
Yeah.
you'd be done. You'd be finished. You'd be fried,
Can
right?
I mention one other thing?
Yeah,
I'm probably
absolutely.
going to have to go soon. So
Mhm.
can I just
Absolutely.
sorry.
Please do.
This is I'm just I would feel bad if I didn't say anything
Yes.
because I'm not saying that it's for sure, but have you seen, you know, they had the locusts in
Yes.
Africa and
Yes.
now they're in India, I guess.
Yeah.
There was a comment by that Jose Andres guy in the Milken Institute talk that he was on. And he was saying that he wouldn't be surprised if this came here next to like compound the
Oh.
problem. So it's like, I mean, I know you can't put bug netting in place all the time over your garden and your food forest, but all these people have planted gardens. You
Oh
can't
my
cover them up because the bees.
God.
But maybe it would be a sensible thing just in case to have something ready to deploy. I'm just saying because he it really made me uncomfortable the way he's like, yeah,
It's biblical too, eh?
yeah.
It's
So I mean,
this.
just to make everything worse, because that would be the perfect reason to make everybody so on board with moving much of the food production into the vertical farms
Yeah.
inside, you know, because that's safer.
Well,
It's
that's what
totally
they want to do
safer.
with the towers, right? They want to
Yeah.
the because they're going to make us now, you know, the whole social distancing. So they're going to turn like the parkades and like especially they're starting. They've been doing this for the last couple decades, but they're converting the you know the parking towers that they have for cars and stuff.
Yeah.
Those are like some of the first things, and then of course all the rooftops and
Well, in
buildings.
warehouses, old warehouses, because they don't need sunlight.
Yeah,
And it's all the aqua or hydroponics. But one of the things they were doing here was really disturbing. Not in this article,
that
but
freaks me out though when
they
you see
were
the locust.
spraying. Oh yeah, they
God,
were
it just freaks me
spraying
out.
pesticides into the everywhere. They were just like jettisoning.
Oh
Oh
my
gosh, all this
God.
pesticide. But yeah, I mean, anybody that's got a garden going, I think it'd be
And they
smart.
got the murder hornets as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, gosh.
Which is highly symbolic because they behead bees.
Oh, and didn't they say, oh, okay, those aren't going to be such a problem anymore. We're not terribly worried about the murder hornets, but they had to do that to get it in your head,
Yeah.
right? Be
Yeah.
afraid of the bugs.
It's, oh my God, it's full on, folks. I mean, with the locust, if you see in Africa and India, what happens when the locusts come in, they just destroy everything.
Well,
It's, there's,
and where did they come from? I'm sure it's a natural phenomenon, sometimes sure, but then DARPA's got like the
I don't know.
Insect Allies
Yeah.
program and everything. Like they've been messing with
Imagine,
bugs for so
imagine,
long.
imagine they're breeding these things like crazy and then unleashing them,
I would
directing
not be
them.
surprised. You think slaughter bots are being dropped from the
Could they
trampolines.
direct? Could they direct? Could they use some sort of because like if they figure out how these locusts function, right? How they're because they have an like the antennas or whatever, however they sort of communicate and move, and they show that starling symbolism a lot, right? Like starlings, they or
Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs and so many other things refer to starlings. So starlings um, are these small little birds that are extremely they work in a hive mind, right?
Hmm.
So starlings like and you see this with fish too, like I don't know, sardines and stuff like that, really small they the way that they all turn at once at the same direction, and there's some sort of way that it's done, like it's some sort of chemical thing that instantly, like there's a hive mind at work that makes them all turn at the same time in the same direction. It's spectacular to watch. It's just like, wow.
Well,
But
and they
what
do
if,
study bugs, like the dragonflies. I know they like to study those because
yeah,
they hunt together and things. Yeah.
yeah, imagine if they're able to direct, that's what I'm saying, kind of like they can direct the weather. Imagine if they're able to unleash plague of locusts.
Oh, sure. And then, yeah, because they've got, I mean, swarm technologies is something that they've studied for a long time. So why not make them bug swarms? I
So
don't
that
know.
then, the people living off the grid who might think they might escape the New World Order, right?
Yeah, because they're,
You know?
what if, I mean,
What-
I'm just saying what if. I'm not saying it's going to happen for sure, but when he said what he said, I was like, ugh, I got to be sure to say something about that.
That
And then
that
I saw they
scares
were in
me.
India.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
watching those videos and I'm like, I'm horrified by that type of stuff because there's almost nothing that you can do. I mean, unless you prepared in advance, right? And then what would you do? You spray all kinds of pesticides and stuff, right, on your crops
Yeah.
to hopefully keep them away. But they just come and everything's gone. It's just whoosh.
And then you will be eating bugs.
Yeah.
I gotta collect these things.
Yeah, yeah. Then they could say, "Well, we eat the. We've got a Bill Gates has a solution. He recommends that we start eating the locusts, right? And then there'll be locust burgers and locust milk and stuff like that."
Yeah.
Anyways, I think you have to go, right? So
Yeah, I should probably.
it was great, though. Thanks so much
Yeah.
for coming on the show, everybody. I mean, I hope you're subscribed to Camille here. Please Stop the Ride. Her channel is amazing. She's doing tremendous work, and she's got a website as well.
Yeah, please stoptheride.com. Thank you. And please, anybody, feel free, put them on your own channels, put them anywhere you can. And all the source links are available. Take those and get the,
Yeah.
I'll just get the word out there.
Yeah, maybe you can upload this to your channel as well, and I'm gonna
Oh, yeah.
probably try to upload it to the backups right now because I can't get it on the main channel. But thanks everyone so much for coming by. Make sure you give us a thumbs up if you haven't already. If you like the show, come and support me if you can on Patreon. Links in the description. Also, definitely go check out Camille's channel and her website. She's doing phenomenal work, one of the best, especially when it comes to these topics. And yeah, I'm going to be on live tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern with my good buddy KJ Osborne on The Scariest Movie Ever. And those are really epic podcasts as well. So you want to check that out for sure. I'm looking forward to that. Thanks so much, Camille. It was an amazing show. Great.
Thank you, Jeff. Talk again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, everyone in the chat. Really great chat tonight. You guys are awesome. And we'll see you guys all in the next one. Take it easy, folks. All right.